I think we have all heard more than once the term paradigm shift. It's a phrase that is abused a lot in various areas of our life. The term was introduced by Thomas Kuhn, the philosopher of science, who wrote the influential book titled The Structure of Scientific Revolutions. In this book, Kuhn claims that development in any scientific field happens in several phases, one of the phases being the paradigm shift, during which the underlying assumptions of the field are examined because they do not work for some cases, and a new paradigm is established. Oftentimes, when we feel like we need to change something in our life, we are bored with our job, we want to change our diet. During this time, we wait for something big to happen to us, a kind of revelation, an epiphany, or a breakthrough. If we want to start writing a book while having a full-time job, we wait for an amazing inspiration that will arrive one day soon. If we decide that we have had enough and that next year will be completely different, we come up with a New Year's resolution, which we will start the first Monday of January. But that one day when we finally feel so inspired that writing will just happen effortlessly will never come. That first Monday of January will become the second Monday, and then the third, or we will do it for a while and then get busy with other things and forget all about it. It's something that we all do. We strongly believe that our future self will know better, will be better. So we always think that our self in the future, even in the near future, will behave better, will fix the diet, will start writing that book. If we're waiting on a big moment to change anything in our life, well, we won't be changing anything. Those moments where we have an epiphany are rare, and even if they are not rare, they are just one short-lasting peak, and we tend to not stick with them. If we want to change anything, big or small, in our life, what is going to do it is small changes, also called microshifts. Just like a paradigm shift, as defined by Thomas Kuhn, is one phase required for any scientific progress, microshifts are phases required to improve what we want to improve in our life. If we want to change our diet, we can start right away by reducing the times that we eat out in restaurants from 5 days to 2 days, drinking more water during the day, and taking the right amount of nutrients. Changing everything radically will not work, but starting with small changes will. In the workplace, whether you are employed, self-employed, you're working for a big company or a startup, or you're in academia, sometimes it's overwhelming to think about everything that we don't know yet or that we haven't mastered yet. We might see our progress as being very slow compared to others, and then we see the road ahead. It might even appear impossible to ever reach anywhere near the end. But first of all, and I hope you will agree, that there is no end to the road of improvement. If one day we feel like we have learned whatever there is to learn, we are just fooling ourselves. There is always something new for us to learn, which will make us better at our job. If that is not the case, that means that it's time for us to leave that place and find another. Second, we tend to see only short periods of time. When we're trying to understand how much we've learned, we compare what we know today to what we knew a month ago or a year ago. We overestimate the short term and underestimate the long term. Next time, think how much you've learned in the past 2 years, or 5 years, or 10 years. Apart from new skills that we want to be acquiring, there are skills that we want to always be improving. When we are writing a scientific article, we know that the first draft will not be the final one. It needs to be written and changed or even rewritten many times. It can only be done by putting in the work, by writing a little every day, rather than all day, once a week. That is the only way we get better. The small writing that we do every day is subtle, but accumulated over the week is far more than what we can do in one day, because it keeps building up. I can easily compare it to, because it's more obvious, learning how to play the guitar. When you first start learning how to play the guitar, you have to practice every day in order to become comfortable with the strings, moving from one string to another when playing chords. If you sit down playing the guitar one day because you really feel like learning on that day, you might learn a lot on that day. But then a few days later, you will already have forgotten most of what you'd learned. You know the reason why microshifts work? Because the change is so small and undetectable that our brain does not qualify it as a change. Therefore, it does not consider it to be out of our comfort zone. That is why making big changes is very difficult. It is not natural for us human beings to live outside of our comfort zone. We might, once in a while, go out of our comfort zone, but only to go back after a very short time. One mistake that we might do is we look at people who are successful and think that their success happened because one day they had a breakthrough, a big innovation that they came up with and they were rewarded for it. But in fact, that is not it at all. It might have been in the beginning what spurred them into action, but it was their actions, the work that they put in and day out, that brought success to them. We have so many examples for that. Take J.K. Rowling, who had Harry Potter rejected 12 times by publishers before it finally published. A more recent example is Squid Game, the show that became Netflix's most watched show globally, was, according to the creator, rejected by studios for 10 years. Thomas Kuhn also said that once a paradigm takes hold, it becomes almost impossible for people born into that paradigm to understand the logic of the system that came before them. Once we've started making periodic small changes, after a while, we will have started thinking differently. We will have a different mindset of what is possible. And at that point, our previous reality and mindset will seem and feel so foreign and distant to us. At that point, we understand how powerful microshifts really are. I will see you guys next week with yet another video.